literally the moment I press record, they start pounding upstairs doing construction. Like, it could have happened at any time in the day, earlier, later, but no, the minute I press record, they start hammering away. But such is the life of a YouTuber, and you know what? My pile cannot wait. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I am Lisa Schwartz, and if you are new here, so happy to have you. I put up videos Monday through Thursday, and once a week now I do this series where I basically fold laundry and do a story time. It has quickly become one of my favorite videos to do each week. I just love chatting with y'all, and having an excuse to fold my laundry is even better, because otherwise I don't know if I would ever actually do it. So this is your cue to pause this video if you have a pile of laundry that you want to head over to, or a chore in your house that you've been putting off. Pause it, get there, and let's do this. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about jobs that I have had in the past, specifically like jobs right before my YouTube took off. So I graduated from college, and then most of my jobs were within a couple of years after that, while I was building up YouTube and auditioning and this and that. I had like several part-time jobs all at once. But one of the jobs that I made a web series about that ended up going on Freeform, on their like digital platform. It's not up anymore, which is a real shame because I loved it so much. My show Party Girl was based on my life as a birthday party princess. And I will say, out of all my part-time jobs that I had, that was certainly the one I had for the longest, and also the one I think I loved the most. Now, don't get me wrong, there were so many downsides to the job, which I will get into. But I think ultimately I really ended up loving that job, and legit the other day I was like, should I go back to doing that? I don't think I have it in me, and I think I'm a little too old to be a princess at this point. But I could be like a villain. The old villain. Anyways, how it all started was that I went to college at UC Irvine, and I worked throughout college as well, so there's a lot of stories left to be told in terms of work and jobs in my earlier years. But one of my friends, her mom actually owned like birthday party entertainment company that was really focused on princesses that could sing, because her daughter was a fantastic singer who also looked like a princess. Her mom was like hiring all of her friends to work for her, and so I was one of those people. So I started my sort of princess life career in college. It wasn't as like consistent back then. I don't know if she wasn't very busy or if I just said I didn't have that much time. I don't really know, but my memories of those times were like kind of few and far between. But then I graduated and I came out here to LA, and I think I was on Craigslist. Actually, I'm 99% sure it was Craigslist. And I saw an ad for birthday party entertainers for this company out of Woodland Hills. The company was called Parties by Stacy, and I don't think she has that company anymore. Anyways, I went over to her house. She did it like out of her garage in the deep valley, and I got there, and like the garage was open, and I walked in, and like the whole garage was just filled with costumes, like packed to the rim with every princess, every Disney, every clown, every head character. I mean, just packed to the nines. And I interviewed with her and was like, hey, you know, I've done this job before. I think I'd be great for it, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, great, you're hired. Like, no training, no background check, just like, can she fit into the costume? Does she kind of look like a princess? Is she bubbly? Let's do this. So I ended up working for her, I would say, I mean, I'm thinking like 6 to 8 years. Like, I worked for her for a really long time, and I did all of the princesses. Well, let me back up a little bit. How it works is kind of similar to my promo model thing that I told you, where it's like, basically you would show up on a Friday. God, so weird how memories like come back to you. You'd show up on a Friday. You literally just like go into the garage. Even if she wasn't there, she would like leave the back door unlocked, and you would go into the garage, and hanging you would find your like name, and then what would be what would be hanging is like your assignments for the weekend. So you didn't know until you got there. So you show up and you'd be like, please, please, please don't let me have to put the head character on. Or like, please, 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 I really would prefer not to be a clown. Like, just give me the easy, pretty princess and let's do this. So you show up and then you'd be like, oh man, as you like go through each costume, and each costume would then have a piece of paper, like a printed out paper that said like when the party was, what character you were, who the people are, the contact number, the address, and then you would grab your costumes and go. This was so long ago that like she used email, but we never got like our bookings via email, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, you literally wouldn't know until you showed up. And the worst part is there was maybe like at one point, there were like 6 of us working for her. That was like in the heyday, you know. At the end there, I think there was way less, but yeah, when it was like at the height of the company, there were like 6 of us working there, and it wasn't necessarily competitive, but it was certainly like you'd show up and you'd see what the other girls' costumes and the other girls' assignments were, just to see kind of like where you ranked, like who got the best location, who got the best costume, you know, who got blah, 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 who was gonna make the most money that week. So it was kind of like a little sneaky in that way when you'd go in and like see what everyone else was up to. Anyhow, so then you'd have your assignment, and most of the time I would work, it would mostly just be a Saturday and Sunday job. Sometimes you'd have like a Friday, or you go to like a preschool and entertain during the week for someone's birthday, but mostly it was like a Saturday and Sunday job, and you would work, if you were lucky, you would work 2 to 3 parties a day. And so it was actually kind of awesome, because then I had my weeks open to like start my YouTube and go on auditions and work my other jobs, you know. And also a lot of the jobs, gosh, I'm trying to remember how we got paid. I think she would cut us checks, but the bulk of the money came from the tips, and you get those in cash. So, you know, if you're lucky, you'd walk away with like, I think like 40 to 60 to 100, depending on the job and the, you know, family that you were going to. So anyways, this is like, there's not enough time to really explain to you all of the ins and outs about this, but like I said, you'd get your assignment, and then that day you would print out your map to figure out where you're going, because really GPSs weren't like super around back then. Like, she like suggested that we have a Thomas guide in our car, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you old too. So you would literally drive like all around Los Angeles. Like, it wasn't just in one single area, it was like very vast. Like, Los Angeles is actually like really big, like the outskirts of Los Angeles. I don't think we ever went to Orange County, but like in one day you could be like at a really, really big mansion out in Malibu, and then have to drive all the way down to like a really small, you know, not so nice area, and do a party on the concrete. You know what I mean? Like, I saw so many different demographics, so many different families. Fun fact, the rich people were the worst tippers. If you guys are in any sort of service work where you are getting tips, you probably already know that. It's really weird. Like, the most grateful and kindest and best tipping people were in the lower income areas. So I was always kind of more keen on working there. Anyways, I feel like I'm jumping all around, but I did all sorts of characters. I did a clown like often. Like, guys, I was the birthday party clown. Like, I always say princess because it sounds a little bit more appealing, but like straight up, I was the clown. Although I will say I tried to make my clown not scary in the slightest. I refused. Did I do a red nose? I think I would just do like a little pink heart on my nose. There's pictures and I will try to find them. I was often Tinkerbell. I really liked doing Tinkerbell. And then my go-to, or what I feel like I was most known for, was Cinderella, my claim to fame. Let's talk about some of the crazy stories that happened. Again, I have so many, and you might have heard some of these if you've been following me for a while. But like I said, you do like maybe 2 to 3 parties in a day. And with that, you'd have to change your costume unless you're doing the same character, but oftentimes, I'd say most of the times, you'd have to change in between parties. Well, I didn't have it in me to like go to like a McDonald's into the bathroom and change. Like I just wouldn't want to be seen in public in the costumes because I was embarrassed, which in retrospect, I probably would still do the same. So I would change in my car. And I would be very careful about like where I would go, and like I would park. Like I got really good at like finding spots on streets that were like private, so I could do that. You know, or if I was like an hour early to a party, I found like spots on the street that were like isolated, so I could like park and lock the door and sleep or do other work. Like I got really good at doing things in my car, including changing, which was not a problem most of the time, except for this one time when I pulled up to, the party was in a park, and I pulled up to the park and I had to change into a Tinkerbell costume. So crazy how you remember these very distinct moments. So I pulled into this area, and like catty corner to me was this big scary looking van, but it appeared no one was in there. So I very tactfully, at least in my opinion, changed my costume. Like I wouldn't just like throw off my clothes. I would do it like, you know, try to keep the other dress on and wiggle up, the whole thing. Well, I thought I had conquered it, and I was getting out to go to the party, and as I step out, so does the man in the van that I didn't know was there, and he goes, I saw you change. And if I remember what I said, that would be amazing, because I think I blacked out because I was so freaked out. Man in a van living outside a park where all these kids were. I mean, I was like, I wish I remembered what I said. I'm sure I didn't say anything. You know what? I probably smiled and giggled, which is terrible. But I was just so taken aback. And then I had to go like do a party. Oh, that was so gross. I'll never forget that. In terms of like what we had to do at parties, in case you were curious or you're interested in the job, you would basically, most of the time it was just like an hour. I loved hour-long parties because they were easy. Sometimes they'd hire you for like 2+ hours, and that was exhausting. But you'd like go in and you would say hi to everyone, and they would ask you questions and be like, oh my God, Cinderella, or Tinkerbell, can you fly? And you'd like, you know, I had like basically like this ongoing like script in my head of things that I would say. Most of the time kids were really lovely and they really believed you were the character, and that was the best part of the job. Once in a while you'd have a little brat to be like, you're not this, you're not that. And I'd be like, well, you're not this and you're not that. Or like, that's not your hair, and I'd be like, that's not your hair. But you'd go in and then you'd play games depending on how old the kids were. Like we had parachute, we had dance games. Like, oh God, I had the routine down. Like I could do it day after day, hour after hour with like my eyes closed basically. And then you'd do face painting or balloon animals. I was kind of terrible at both, but I could fake it. I could do like 2 balloon animals. You get a dog or a wand. Those are your 2 options from me. Anyhow, some other horror stories. I remember I was dressed as a clown once, and after the party I had a like drunk uncle run after me and like try to get me to go on a date with him. And I was like, really? Like, I'm literally dressed as a clown. Like, there's nothing worse. Like, what is wrong with you? Why do you want to date a clown? What is going on in your psyche? That was creepy. I remember a lot of like parents just not being very kind to me, being like, the clown this, the clown that. And it's like, dude, I mean, can you like have a little bit of respect? Like just a little bit. I mean, literally entertaining your kids. Trying to think, I did a bunch of celebrity parties. I was an elf at Christmas. Going back to not wanting to go into anywhere public unless I was working, I found interesting places and ways to go to the bathroom, pee in the street. We'll just gloss on over that. That was in my show, and they ended up making me cut it in the edit because it wasn't appropriate for freeform, but your girl knows how to pee in a bottle. Trying to think other like really, I went to like so many like extravagant 1-year-old parties. That always stuck with me, like just so extravagant, like cost more than my wedding for your 1-year-old who'll never remember this. That was weird. Oh, I went to a party for one once. That was creepy. It was just like literally one, like, you know, 1 or 2-year-old and the rest were all adults. And I just had to like hang and play with the kid. Basically, I was like a glorified babysitter in a costume. I went to a party once where it was time to do the piñata, and I got out the stick, and I think I was dressed as a clown. Actually, I know. I was dressed as a clown, and I handed the kid the piñata stick, and the birthday boy like literally swung back, hit me in the stomach so hard, and I kid you not, everyone like pointed and started laughing, including the old grandmas, and that was traumatizing. I had lots of really good, sweet memories. I used to go as Hannah Montana when Hannah Montana was like so popular and teach dances. That was fun. Ooh, I finished. I'm telling you, these stories could go on and on. Lots of Tinkerbell and kids thinking I could actually fly, and I'd have to get come up with excuses as to why in that moment I couldn't. Oh my God, I was there once when a bounce house collapsed. No one was hurt, thank God, but that was terrifying. I was in a lot of parades. I did like a book fair parade as Alice in Wonderland. I was a Bratz doll once. I don't remember what that party was, but I know I dressed as, I could see the picture of me in the Bratz doll. I did a lot of tea parties. I loved it. I made a lot of cash and I really, truly enjoyed it. The only thing I hated was that you would have to drive like all over town. I got lost so many times, went to some really scary places. Oh my God, one time, I'll leave on this one, and if you guys want to hear follow-ups to these, I'm happy to share. So I really tried to avoid getting the head characters. Nobody should have to do that job. I mean, it's so claustrophobic, it's so scary, and it's also so hot, and at the time I didn't have really good skin, so I kept telling the boss that I couldn't do it because of my acne. So I got out of it a lot. I like really wiggled my way out of that one. But I did do it once where I was Dora the Explorer with a big, big head. And it was... I was at this kid's birthday, but there were a lot of adults there, so I was doing face painting. A lot of the adults at that party asked me to do like beer signals, like Coors Light logo and stuff, which was so inappropriate but kind of fun. I liked when the parents were just like cool and like having fun. But anyways, so they take me to take me into the house. It was outdoors. They took me into the house to pay me, and she was like, "It's okay, you can take off the head." I was like, no, because I could see the kid. I was like, no. She's like, it's okay, take off the, like, kind of pushing. I was like, okay, and I take it off. Traumatized that kid. Crying, screaming, the whole thing. I felt so bad. Parents were like laughing. If that was you, I'm really sorry, and I'm sure that I have left some emotional scars on you. Just know that I really didn't want to take off my head, and I probably shouldn't have, but I felt a lot of pressure that I had to do it to get paid, so I'm really, really so sorry about that. Oh God, the memories keep flooding and flooding. Okay, I'm gonna if you want to hear more, I'll write down some more so I have more specific ideas, but I'm done with my laundry, and that's that. I will say, if you guys need like a part-time job and you are bubbly and outgoing and you know, just want to kind of like do something kind of fun, and what was really cool about it was like every party was a different experience. It was never boring. I would certainly look into it. Just be careful. Oh my God, eventually that company, I mean, she didn't go totally out of business, but there was like a moment when like Disney started cracking down on the birthday party companies because we didn't like, I guess, legally have the rights to wear those costumes and like be those characters, which is like so crappy. Like, come on, this is like little mom and pop companies just like trying their best to bring joy to families across the world. Like, you know, cut them some slack. But yeah. there you have it. That's the tip of my birthday party iceberg, but certainly fun to share. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what story you guys want me to talk about next week. Let me give you my options. My first job working at Jamba Juice, which a lot of you have been asking about. My job working at the coffee shop on campus in college. Lots of stories about that, almost to the point where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't tell them because they're, could I get in trouble for the stories? Potentially. I was also a bubble master, similar to a birthday party entertainer. It was a birthday party entertainer, but it was a very specific kind where you would put on bubble shows, like full-on bubble shows, and I have a lot to say about that. So let me know in the comments below, or if you want to hear about anything else, any sort of story time, let me know. I keep track of everything that you guys are suggesting, so even if you don't see it next week, you might be seeing it in a couple of weeks or down the line. So thanks you guys for engaging, leaving wonderful comments, liking this video, and sticking around for more videos. I guess we'll have, depending on when this goes up, yeah, we'll have another video tomorrow. So love y'all, and see you then. Bye.